What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday to you. Hope you're having a great weekend. Welcome into the return of the Browns Film Room. I'm Jacob. With me this week, Mr. Tyler Johnson. Tyler, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. My wife is at a bachelorette party in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So you know what? This is a nice way of kind of trying to enjoy my weekend. It's been kind of relaxing for the most part. I've had to watch the dogs currently, but I got them both to sleep before I came in here. So we're doing all right. Things are going well. How are you doing, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing great because we got football to talk about. We've got film to break down. As much as like some people came at me were like, it's a JV game. I'm like, calm down, it's real. It's very real.
Thank you. I'm glad someone had the balls to say it.
Just like, why are you pooping on my fun? If you don't like the Hall of Fame game, you go away. I don't care. I'm having a good time. Guys, we're brought to you as always by our friends at Almond Shapiro. I've got the classic Brownie the Elf coming back. A lot of times I like to rock the new stiff arm. I love the long sleeve. Man, they've got everything.
The John Dorsey sweater is what I love rocking, dude. So comfortable, so basic, and it looks so clean.
And he would wear that son of a bitch if it was 100 degrees.
He probably had 31 of them, one for every day of the month. Guarantee you.
Yeah, guaranteed. Guys, link in the description down below will take you to the Almond Shapiro, their Browns collection, if you want to check that out. It's Sunday. They still have 20% off store-wide for this weekend. So it'll be Sunday when you guys see this. So make sure you go over there and take advantage of that. You want to check out our Discord section. We got a lot going on over there. We're posting rumors in there. That's really starting to heat up. But Zach and the betting team down there is what makes it worth it. It's $10 a month. There's a link in the description down below. They're posting their bets in there every single day, and it's making your money back and then some. So, Tyler, we've got a lot to go through here tonight. We're going to do our winners and we're going to do our losers from Canton and the Hall of Fame game. We're going to start with the winners. Because I like to start on a good note, and I'm going to give you the floor, man. Who do you want to start with? I guess is my question.
So the first player that I want to start with, I'm not going to go with someone that's completely obvious because we're going to see plenty of that, and we're both going to want to talk about some of those guys. But one guy that stands out to me, and this guy is someone that the Browns liked so much that even after they claimed that he was an undrafted free agent signing, they still kept him on the practice squad. He's still on the roster. And he's made a lot of plays in the Hall of Fame game. And this is a guy I really like. And it makes you wonder if this makes Harrison Bryant potentially available in trade if he continues to perform well in the preseason. That is tight end Zaire Payton. Like I said, undrafted free agent. He looked really good in the Hall of Fame game. I mean, he is an athletic specimen at the tight end position. And, about Harrison Bryant's future. He's got one more year on his contract. The Browns, of course, changed that deal up a little bit to give him some more guaranteed money on that. But at the same time, that contract is still easy. You can trade that contract pretty easily, whether that be for a late-round pick or whether that be for a player, kind of like we saw Mack Wilson for Chase Winovich swap. And I like what he can do as a third tight end. He's a very solid weapon for the Browns in the passing game. I mean, 3 catches, 22 yards. It doesn't sound like much, but you could just tell that he was someone Kellen Mond was looking to, or pretty much that was the main guy he was looking for. He looked at Cedric Tillman a couple times, but the main guy he was looking for was Zaire Payton, and then, of course, John Kelly had 4 receptions too. But I like what he could do. 6'5", 257 pounds. Played at Florida Atlantic University, but also via Notre Dame College here in Ohio. Mm-hmm. I like him a lot, man. And if you can continue to get production out of him, and again, it's preseason, but what do the Browns want to do? Cheaper options. If you can have a guy who could put similar production as a third tight end to take Harrison Bryant's spot and take that money off the books, I say you do it. So Zaire Payton is a winner for me.
Yeah, and I'll just touch on it. You really hit on what needs to be said there with him, but I will say that we're building. If you keep Mitchell Payton, you are now building quite the Greek god physique in the tight end room. Like that is apparently the goal of it. No, he is, man. He's just a player that was very raw coming out of college, and just as you talked about, he went to Notre Dame College for, he didn't play in a Power 5 conference, just kind of being brought along. But, he's shown enough flashes where it's like, yeah, if somebody's like, yeah, I'll give you a conditional 6th for Harrison Bryant. Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. I thought they were only going to keep two tight ends until they did the rework of Bryant's contract. So, yeah, if you can find that, go for it. I'll shift gears to the defense, and a guy that anybody that has followed me for any period of time will know where this is going, and that is the edge, Alex Wright. That's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with Alex Wright. It was very weird to see him in 91 because I have a 94 jersey in my closet downstairs. I will admit, though, like, Tomlinson not playing wearing the 94 was better to ease me into the shock of the change of the number. So I didn't have to go, oh, look, why is Alex Wright in the middle? And you're like, oh, no, that's Dalvin Tomlinson. I didn't have to worry about that. So it was weird. I spoke with Corey Kinnon, the managing editor over at Browns Wire. We had a conversation about him, and I think he and other people said it as well. He just looks quicker off the line of scrimmage than he did last year. Like, you're seeing more explosiveness from him. He's this big, he's 6'6", some say he's 6'7", he's somewhere in that range, 270 pounds. You should not move like that. And when you see him next to Myles Garrett, he looks every bit as big as Myles Garrett. And we understand that. And like, that's a huge, like, that's, I see you, you're like, yep, I get it. Like, you understand that. Most people understand that. Like, that's just it's a freak, right?
Exactly.
Freak. And his impact in the run game Thursday night was very evident. If you can watch him, there was a couple of plays too where he didn't actually make the play, but he shot the gap into the backfield, made the running back have to make a move, and then the linebackers cleaned it up behind him. And he ends up with, like, I think an 70 or an 80 run defense grade. I forgot to bring that up.
It was an 84.9.
There you go. It wasn't great in the pass rush, although I thought he did a really good job kind of pushing the pocket and getting his arms up and making them tighter throwing lanes. He wasn't getting home and that sort of thing. But for a team that really, really couldn't stop the run, to watch a guy like Alex Wright be more explosive, look stronger, and make impact plays on the run, I just thought that was very promising from him.
No, yeah, I agree with that with Alex Wright. And I think with Alex Wright, he's never going to be a guy, I think, that's going to have a ton of sacks in his career. He's that big type of defensive end. I think he's going to be one of the things that's going to be a staple for him. He's going to be really good against the run. And we saw that on Thursday night. And the fact that Alex Wright is that bigger body defensive end, that gives you something different. That gives Jim Schwartz something different he can use on the defensive side of the ball. I also think what we're going to see a little bit too, as big as Alex Wright is, I mean, because you talked about he's 6'5", 267 pounds. I think they're going to try and move him inside a little bit more this year too and take advantage of that skill set. So, hey, I'm a huge Alex Wright fan right there with you. So, but it's really encouraging seeing him look more explosive, take that next step. And again, everyone's going to be like, well, you're playing against backups. Okay, so what? You still need to see these guys progress as athletes and as players, and that's what you saw out of Alex Wright. Very encouraging, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Backups. Well, was he doing that against backups last year? That's no. Kind of like my retaliate. You know what I mean? Like when you're talking about guys that are progressing, it's like, well, several years ago they said like the Browns are only beating bad teams, and it was like, yeah, were they doing that before? Like, it's like my point. Like, yeah, I don't care. Beat someone, show me something, and let's move on.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball here, and this player didn't grade out great, but the reason he's a winner for me, we were very critical when the Browns drafted this man, just given the other options that were on the board at the time. But I'll tell you what, to make the type of run-stuffing play that he made, to just hold a number of blockers against him, to eat up blocks is exactly what you need as a defensive tackle, especially this linebacking core. You got to keep these guards and centers from getting to that second level. I thought Siaka Ika seriously played pretty well. And I was as critical as anybody. I didn't get it. But you know what? I was encouraged with what I saw for a first game for him. He didn't look completely out of shape or anything. That was another thing I was a little bit worried about. Same with DeJuan Jones, who I'm sure we'll talk about here. But with Siaka Ika, the grade wasn't great. 52.8 overall, 54.7 against the run really surprised me there. And then he had a 69 tackling grade, and then pass rush grade was a 54.3. The numbers aren't great, but I was just seeing what he was doing during the game, and I just thought to myself, what defensive tackle for the Browns has ever done what he's able to do? And that's just eat up blocks. I don't need Siaka Ika to put up huge numbers. I need him to do what he did on Thursday night, eat up blocks so his linebackers can go and make plays. And that's what he did. And so even though he still's got a long way to go, it's encouraging seeing a guy like him come in as a rookie and that can just be that guy that eats blocks, because we didn't have it last year, and that's why the Browns were historically poor for run defense. And really, throughout Kevin Stefanski's time as head coach, Joe Wood's time as defensive coordinator, the Browns never really had that defensive tackle. I mean, Sheldon Richardson, sure, but he wasn't eaten up. I mean, he just wasn't as big of a body. That was a man that could get after the quarterback pretty decently for his size. So it's encouraging seeing Siaka Ika for a first game performance to be able to draw that type of attention. That's going to get him playing time this year, and that's going to make it easier for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Anthony Walker, Sione Takitaki, and the other linebackers.
Yeah, and one thing that I think it's obvious by the moves that they've made that the Browns are very much banking on these front guys to make their linebackers better. Like their linebackers weren't kept clean last year, and they were pushed around, and of course some of them were also idiots. But
correct.
But it didn't help that a lot of them got pushed around quite a bit. And you know what? Hold on. We got to pause this show. We got somebody else in the green room joining us. I see him. He's fixing himself. He's getting ready. I'm gonna wait until he's ready because I can see he's getting himself. He's got to get the beard looking good, the hair. Okay, he's good. All right, let's bring on Mikey P for the conversation. What's going on, Mikey?
What's going on, fellas?
Well, we're still working through our winners. We're talking about Siaka Ika, and I'll get your thoughts on him in just a second. But the one thing is they didn't add linebackers, so I think they're banking on these front guys making their linebackers better by keeping them clean. And the thing about Ika in this game was I didn't see anybody stuff any 3rd and 1s last year. Like, I mean, you ran right at him and he did it. And it's like, did he make a ton of other plays? He didn't play that much. What was his final snap count? 21. He played 21 snaps.
He didn't play that much.
So he didn't play a ton, but the situation he was drafted for, he came in, he took care of business. And for me, that's all I needed this week.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mikey?
I mean, I think I agree. I mean, they're gonna bring him along slow. I mean, we always tend to bring rookies along a little slow. There's always a process. So I think he's gonna fit a need. I think Schwartz will definitely get the most out of him for sure. Like he tends to, like, I don't know if even it goes back to like look at what he got back out of who was the defensive tackles when he was in Tennessee. From when he was even in Detroit, like he always maximizes the talent. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
finds a way to do that. I'm going to transition to a guy. I don't even know if we put him on. I don't know if you got his picture. I forgot to ask you about this guy. I want to talk about Cameron Mitchell real quick. The rookie 5th round pick from Northwestern. He played some slot corner. Played a little bit in there, and his actual big play when he broke up a 4th and 3, I think it was, but he forced a turnover on downs. He was out of the slot and he just accelerated and just flew out there into the passing lane and knocked it down. And you're talking about a team that continues to draft corners, and apparently good ones, and continues to figure out how to draft corners. And then you find out that Greg Newsome kind of has a groin injury that he's dealing with. So you're like, oh, so we may be looking at, no snaps potentially for him in the preseason, which means more opportunities for guys like Cameron Mitchell. They don't have a true slot corner on this roster. Cam Mitchell's played over 100 snaps in the slot in college. And I think you look at him, I think they want him to be the eventual slot guy. and he played some really nice snaps. Finished with an 80.9 coverage grade playing on Thursday. So I wanted to give Cam Mitchell a little bit of props.
No, I mean, Cam Mitchell really impressed me. I'll admit, like, I didn't know a whole lot about him, but he has turned some heads in training camp. I mean, when you have a pick six of Deshaun Watson, that's going to get people's attention. It was interesting to see him clearly get some reps with the ones in training camp, so that shows they like his ability. But also, if Greg Newsome, I mean, groin injuries can be tricky. So to have a guy like Cam Mitchell, if he continues to play well in the preseason, it's just amazing to me that fans are critical of Andrew Berry from time to time with his drafting, but I'll tell you what, the dude can just find any single corner, and apparently whoever he finds is going to be good. It seems like he just has that golden touch when finding corners, and it's been really nice to see. I can't wait to see what Cam Mitchell does. Especially, I want to see what he does against Washington this week, but I'm really encouraged so far with what I've seen.
Yeah, and I agree with AB. He gets a lot of, he gets criticism, but there is not one general manager in this league that hits on every pick. Like, people have this like misconception that every pick just hits on good teams, and it's not the case at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the rate too, it's like if you can hit like 2 or 3 draft picks a draft, you're doing great. Yeah. If 2 or 3 of your because what I'd say most teams, depending on if they mortgage the farm, pick 5 or 6 players at least normally in a year. Some of course more, some less, but I'd say if you can hit 2 out of 6, you're probably one of the better GMs in the league. I mean, that's just how it is. Mikey, I'll give you an opportunity here. We're still working on winners. Give us one of your winners from Thursday.
One of my winners, of course, was DTR. Like, I thought he looked explosive. Like, I watched some of his games, late nights, UCLA, saw him when they played USC. But there was just times where I was like, man, how was this guy a late round pick? Like, he flashed. Like, I know it's preseason game. He's playing against a lot of 2s and 3s and even 4s. So we'll see more, in the coming weeks. But like, he looked explosive, like on the plays. Like, he had good zip on the ball. That one throw he made across the middle was, I mean, that was a pro level throw. Like that, there's not a lot of guys in the league make that throw where you're looking. It was almost a Mahomes like throw where he's looking in the opposite direction and then threads the ball across the middle like that. So I thought DTR was he blew me away the other night. How good he looked.
Yeah. I think with DTR, the biggest thing is that experience that he has at UCLA. I mean, being there for 5 years and the level of competition, of course, that he was, because UCLA isn't the most stacked team in college football. And he was the reason that they were relevant in college football was his ability. And he knows how to lead a team, first off, but also he's very accurate with the football. He's not going to be the guy that has the biggest arm, but he's going to be very accurate. And he brings mobility. The thing that you love about DTR and the reason he will be the Browns' future backup quarterback after this season, because Josh Dobbs, I still believe, is going to have that job. But the reason he's your future backup, he's going to be really cheap. You're talking, if you want to find a quarterback that is similar to Watson, at least as far as a skill set, the ability obviously not, but a skill set, they couldn't have done a better job because DTR is going to be that guy. And you know what? It's nice to see this. And again, you are going against backups, especially like third stringers and whatnot. But you know what? In the preseason, we want to have some fun. And having DTR have the kind of performance that he had on Thursday, that gets us excited. And that lets us have fun and enjoy the preseason a little bit more. So DTR was fantastic. And I don't know how much he's going to play like moving forward. Like, just he's not going to play, I don't think, as much as he did in the Hall of Fame game, just with Watson needing reps, Dobbs. I still think Mon will get reps too. But it was just encouraging to see that type of performance, especially when some fans question the Browns picking him that early. Yeah,
and I just remember what Dobbs did last year and how much fun we had. And I was like, DTR is probably going to, we'll have some fun with him. And I can't remember a half of football that because there was no consequences of it. So I was able to relax, I think, a little bit more than I would like a regular season game. But Oh my God. He came in there and it's like comparatively, Mond had no zip on his ball, and it was evident that DTR could drive it. He might not be throwing it 70 yards straight down the field, but like he could get it into a tight window if he needed to. And he did on that 15-yard pass that he threw on like 2nd and 16 or something, where, like you said, he kind of came back over the middle and then just drove it back in there as he's looking one different direction. He's going around. It's like he's so dangerous with his legs that like he knows that. He gets that. And he uses them. Him and Watson, I think it's just the way you both said this. You know, you're looking at similar skill sets where both of them can run for yardage, but both of them are also going to run and make you think they're running from yardage, and then they're going to chuck it down the field to a guy that's wide open that understands how to work back on the scramble drill. And you saw that with him and Cedric Tillman, because Tillman comes from that air raid in Tennessee where he was used to Hendon Hooker scrambling around. So he has how to work his way back to a mobile quarterback when that quarterback is extending the play. And it was just like, all I know is like, what can you say about DTR? He was electrifying. I had fun. It was like he was going out there making throws, and like you see it in this picture. That was him on every play, man. Like the energy that he brought to the game was just like, hey, it's Thursday. I'm tired. The lights were out for 20 minutes at one point in this game, and then he comes back on the field. I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm locked in. Let's see what he's gonna do. And I just think if you're like, hey, Watson's gonna miss 4 weeks, he can win a game or two. He's not going to go 4-0, but he can win a game or two.
Oh, 100%. 100%, man. And I think, too, like with DTR, I like players that have some swagger to them. Like, I mean, not a cockiness per se. I like that swagger, though. And I think you need that at the position. And he has it. I mean, you would have thought this kid's been around for a couple of years, the way he's acting, like, out there. And I loved it personally. So it's encouraging to see that type of performance. It really is, because in the NFL, you don't need an elite backup quarterback. You need a guy. The reason you have a solid backup quarterback, if, like you said, Watson goes down for a couple of weeks, you have a guy who can step in and win you a game or two. And that's really all you can ask for. And Dwayne Thompson-Robinson definitely has that ability. And I don't want to see it, but you have to wonder, too, what would it look like a little bit with him running that first team offense and having that much talent around him then. Because the other thing, talent around guys, we see it in San Francisco, makes a quarterback better. So I almost wonder what it would look like with DTR, and I might have to experiment with that in Madden if I buy it this year. But
you know what?
It's encouraging.
I want to say something about Madden real quick because you brought it up. I thought I was out. And I still think I am. But did you see all the things they added back to franchise mode?
Training camp.
And you can restructure contracts in the game.
They're really trying to get me to spend. They're trying to get me to spend $75, and I'm already going to buy the new FIFA. It's called EAFC, which looks absolutely just amazing. So I'm going to probably have to make a choice, because I'm not spending $150 for 2 games and play one of them, because I know that's what will happen. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have to really think about this.
How about this? I'll get it. I'll get Madden, and I'll tell you. I'll make that decision for you. I'll be like, Tyler, you got to do it, or Tyler, don't do it. Like, we'll do it. We'll do it like that. We gotta.
You can do the share thing.
Yeah. Well, do you got a PS5?
I don't have a PS5, man.
Okay, so no, Xbox. We can't share. Well, no, I got an Xbox. I got an Xbox too. I got a Series S. Let's do a couple of more on the winners, and we'll go over to the losers. No, I got lucky. I got lucky. I got one as a gift. But anyway, let's do a couple more winners, then we'll do some losers and wrap this thing up here in the next 10, 15 minutes, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to go as long as we feel like it. I want to do one guy that he wasn't phenomenal, but what he was good at, I thought was really nice, and that's Tony Fields. I thought Tony Fields, especially against the run, I thought that he had like a 36.7 coverage grade. So like I said, he wasn't like fantastic, but he was out there with a 76.1 in the run defense. But what I really liked about Tony Fields was he was just flying all over the place. It felt like even the plays he didn't make, he was there. It reminds me of not quite the same, because I think he's more athletic and he's smaller. It reminds me of a young DeQuell Jackson. And what I mean by that was when DeQuell Jackson was a rookie, really his first couple years or so, as he was really coming into his own, he was always there. Like, even if he's not making the tackle, Jackson was always there. That's how it felt like Tony Fields was on Thursday. He made several good plays, and he also made other plays where it was like, oh, if, Tommy Togiai doesn't make the tackle here, Tony Fields will, and he'll only gain an extra 2 yards, something like along those lines. And I really like Tony Fields because I like to call him JOK light, because I think they're the same style of player. And if those smaller athletic linebackers tend to miss a few games, then I need another one behind them. And I think that's what Tony Fields can be. And I think he has an opportunity if Taki and Walker miss any time to start the year or are on a snap count to start the year. I think that Tony Fields, I just want to give him a little bit of props because I thought he had a pretty good game.
No, I did too, man. And I was hoping that going into this, I mean, obviously Anthony Walker's not playing, Taki, JOK. I wanted to see how these linebackers would perform because they were going to play a lot because there was not many of them that were dressed for this game. So I wanted to see how he performed, and I thought he did pretty well. He didn't grade out well, but I feel like sometimes we overanalyze with grades on how a player played based off how he grades. I mean, a 55.2 overall grade, but then you look at his run defense, 76.1. He wasn't great against the pass, but you know what? A 76.1 run defense grade. Did we have a linebacker at all that did that last year? I think maybe Reggie Ragland had an insane game defending the run, and that was against the Saints because it was so cold that everybody had to run the football. But I'm encouraged with what I see out of him. I don't know if he's going to make this roster. I mean, he's got an uphill battle because I don't think they're keeping a ton of linebackers. But I am encouraged with him. I think what's hurt him throughout his career, though, is just the injury aspect. He has missed a decent amount of time, and that's hurt him.
Especially his rookie year. He had that, he was in a walking brace before training camp. Like, he was in a walking boot. And it was that
6 tackles, though. 6 tackles, 4 solo tackles. You'll take that. And I mean, keep in mind, these are the only linebackers that played. So you had Mohamed Diabate. He played a lot, of course, and actually had 3 tackles, 2 solo tackles. Jordan Kunazinski, I'll never pronounce that name right. But we're gonna act Kanasik. We're gonna act like I'll remember that. And then Tony Fields. I mean, outside of that, you really didn't have. Those were your linebackers. There were not many linebackers in that on the game, and so I'm encouraged with what I saw from him. I don't know really, like I said, if he's going to make the roster, but it's still encouraging to say the least.
Yeah, I like Tony Fields. He's a solid guy. I have a couple friends that are big WVU guys, and they say when we draft him, come out, he's the type of guy you put in a role, he's going to do his job. He's not going to be flashy. He's not going to, he's not going to blow you away, but he's one of those guys that can be a key depth piece. He can step in and play really well, but you can count on him. He's not going to blow an assignment. He's going to know where he's supposed to be and make the play when he needs to make it.
Mm-hmm. And I can live with that. You do your job out there. There was a lot of dudes not doing their job last year. Let's just be clear about that. Okay. I have one more. I have just one more, and then if anybody else has any more winners, we can go through those guys. And that's Cedric Tillman. For me, it's Cedric Tillman just because I have been wanting to see him so bad. I wanted the thing I want to know, and we'll continue. I'll be at training camp on Monday, so I'll get my eyes on him in person for the first time on Monday. But I wanted to know if last year was about the injury. Is that why there was a drop-off? And I know he only plays a couple of games, and he kind of rushes himself back from that injury. And it feels like watching the tape that he wasn't the same guy, and it felt like it was that ankle injury. It was nothing structural, so that's why I didn't fear a hangover, so to speak. It wasn't like he tore his knee or anything like that, which was actually a knock on Nick Chubb, just a reminder. But anyway. He was just so good his 2 years ago at Tennessee. And I think when you look at a guy that big, he's bigger than everybody. Like in terms of wide receivers and defensive backs, the guys that he's around, he's bigger than them. And for me, it was like he is not a athletic freak when it comes to speed, comes to raw speed and athleticism, yet he separates so well. Like I said this to Nick last week on the Barking Browns. I said, he reminds me of Donovan Peoples-Jones if Peoples-Jones was a better route runner and separator. And like, I love Peoples-Jones. He doesn't separate. With Cedric Tillman, I mean, he's a bully. He gets held on that one play. And yet, who ended up blown back 10 yards? The dude that held him. And he still catches the ball and he makes plays. He's big. He's physical. He probably only like catches like 30 to 40 passes this year if there's not an injury. But this is why I think they'll move on from Donovan Peoples-Jones, because I think Cedric Tillman is him and then some.
Yeah, I was very encouraged with what I saw. I only saw him make, I believe it was only 2 catches, and I'm disappointed it was only 2 catches. I wanted him to play more. I get why, and I get it. He didn't need to show a lot. I mean, I think they're very confident in what they have with him, and that's another reason, like you said, Jacob, why they're going to move on from DPJ more than likely. They have that guy in Cedric Tillman, and I believe Cedric Tillman by 2024 will be able to make that step, and then you're going to go out and draft a guy too that's going to take Cedric Tillman's spot that he has this year. So Tillman's going to be really good for the Browns. I have a feeling he uses his body really well. He creates separation. And for the record, a lot of people probably wouldn't know who Jalen Hyatt is if it wasn't for Cedric Tillman's injury, because that's how good Cedric Tillman was in 2021. And the Browns got an absolute steal. The only reason Kellen Mond even remotely looked decent in that game was because of Cedric Tillman. So I loved what I saw from him. Like I said, I wish we could have saw a lot more, but we saw what we needed to see.
I'll say you're using the term decent loosely.
I know.
When talking about Kellen Mond.
I'm being polite.
I love Cedric Tillman. I liked him when he was at Tennessee. I just love a big body receiver. Like he almost plays the game at receiver, like almost like a tight end sometimes, the way he's able to shield his body. And that makes such a big difference. I mean, Chris Carter was never a huge guy when he played in the NFL, but he always played bigger than he was. Like he was a master of like using his body to create separation or to create passing lanes. And watching Tillman's tape and watching a lot of his games, he does that a lot too. Like very similar to Chris Carter-esque a little bit with his body.
Yeah. I really fun to watch for sure. And another winner for me, I'm going to stick with wide receiver because first off, the unfortunate reality of Dalen Baldwin is really sad. I'm a Dalen Baldwin fan. I know that Alex Van Pelt singled him out. Someone in training camp that been performing very well. Sounds like the Browns want to bring him back at some point, so I hope that is the case. But we also talk about opportunity, and do players go out when they have an opportunity to make a statement, and do they take advantage of it? Well, a guy who took advantage of an opportunity on Thursday night was Austin Watkins Jr. This is a guy that they signed not even 3 weeks ago, and 2 catches, 35 yards, and a touchdown. On paper, that doesn't seem like much to you, but at the same time, Jalen Darden, he could still be out with an injury. Obviously, there's no Dalen Baldwin anymore. Austin Watkins is going to move up that depth chart a little bit, and depending on who plays against Washington, he might have more of an opportunity in front of him. He keeps putting together some solid performances. He's going to make a case for a roster spot. He is a talent out of UAB. I like what he brings to the table personally. He's a good route runner, and you know what? Take advantage of opportunity. That's exactly what he did. It's unfortunate that it came at the expense of Dalen Baldwin. It really is. And like I said, I wish him the best. I hope he's okay. But also, we don't need no Marquise Goodwin situation. There's going to be a spot. Austin Watkins has the opportunity to go seize that spot. So I like stories like this when guys that maybe you sign in the preseason and fans don't really know who they are, and they end up making a name for themselves and potentially making the roster. I think of DeAnthony Bell last season. That's what Austin Watkins reminds me of right now. And if Darden can't play next week, if Goodwin is still out, depending on who else, Amari Cooper might not even suit up next week too, I would assume. I mean, Austin Watkins is going to move up that depth chart and get more reps. I want to see what he does. I was encouraged.
I think that he's a 4.5 guy, so like you're not going to confuse him with like a burner. Low 4.5s too, like not like 4.58, but
yeah,
his short area quickness and acceleration, especially on that slant route, like that was a perfect textbook slant route. He blasts off the line of scrimmage, puts his foot in the ground, and cuts in on that touchdown. Like it was just he created such an easy target for DTR to throw that it was like, okay, all right, I want to see some more of this. So like that's where I'm at too, where it was like I'm not ready to like we didn't see enough, but we definitely saw enough where it was like, give me more. Let me see more of that, and let's go from there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Mikey, do you have another winner?
I guess my last one would probably be, I thought Demetric Felton's kind of return to the running back realm. He showed some quickness, some bursts, some elusiveness, some ability to break tackles. Like I definitely think him and John Kelly are going to be in for a dogfight for that third running back spot.
Yeah, he was explosive in the open field. He made people miss. Like that's the thing that he was supposed to be bringing to the team when he had this real weird testing. Like he had to have been hurt or something because his athletic testing going in, I remember was just dreadful. And then you watched him house so many like plays like with explosive acceleration in a top gear that he finally showed again, where he had like 6.6 yards per carry. He made people miss in the return game as well, although he still gives me a heart attack when he's back there. But in terms of fighting for a third, like we were anointing him running back 3 because of the roster. And then he went out there and he's like, no, I might be running back 3.
Yeah, well, this is where I'm at with this. First off, don't show Aaron Goldhammer the video of elusiveness because clearly he completely didn't watch the game. But anyway.
Yeah, I had something to say to him. I said it. I did.
Hey, that's fair. I'm on social media. I'm a lot more quiet about it just because I'm trying to be nice, but I'm going to say it now. But anyway, with Demetric Felton, like it's amazing what happens when you put a guy in his preferred position and not move him to wide receiver. Like he's never been a slot. Like play him at running back, and we saw what he can do and what he can bring out of the backfield. I mean, we need to see more of that. To me, I think he has the inside track to the running back 3 spot because of his elusiveness he can bring out of the backfield. And I think the plan for the Browns, if I had to guess, is pretty simple. Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, Demetric Felton, John Kelly on the practice squad. John Kelly's been on the practice squad the last 2 years. I think they would go for a third. I really do. Nothing against John Kelly. I like him. But John Kelly, to me, doesn't bring the receiving ability that Demetric Felton does. And we've been talking about the Browns need a back like a Jerick McKinnon type of guy. I somewhat think Felton can be that guy out of the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a guy that like, and they ran like 15 of them because they didn't want to show you anything. But like he's a screen, like he's made for running screens. Like you want to run a screen with Demetric Felton, like I think that's probably where he's at his best is outside the tackles. And we saw, oh my gosh, we're talking about players, but I also want to talk about us being winners from the diversity of the gun run that we saw. We saw some inside zone. We didn't just see pin pull, man. We had some inside zone, some outside zone. We did see some pin pull, and it does work. But we saw stuff that wasn't. And when I saw all of that, I was just like rock hard, like just rock hard. I'm not going to use my one F word. Sometimes I allow myself to use one F word, and I'm not there yet. But yeah, man, let's do that. Let's do that with Felton and Chubb and Ford. Let's do some of that. Let's get through there. And I lied to you. I said I was done with my winners, but I got 2 co-winners. And that's the Ohio State rookies, man. The Ohio State rookies.
Man, I was thinking of doing the same thing. So we think alike. I completely agree. So good one. I love it. Let's do it.
Luke Whippler, I mean, he graded out great. He plays 55 snaps, doesn't allow any pressure. He had 29 pass blocking snaps of the 55, allowed no pressure. And it was just like Luke Whippler was a guy that I was really confused about in the draft class. Like you know how like people get drafted in the 6th and 7th round, you're like, well, he was there? Like what was he? I said the same thing with Isaiah Thomas last year in the 7th.
Right.
I'm like, why are these guys here? Like, I get it. They're not, blue chip, but they're very good football players from big programs. And Whippler, like, a lot of people are like, well, he's smaller, shorter arms. He's only a center. He probably can't play guard. His play strength. And I have no problem with his play strength on Thursday. And I get it.
I didn't either.
I get it. 2nd and 3rd stringers. But, man, I really like Luke Whippler, and I'll wait for DeJuan Jones. I'll let everybody talk about Luke Whippler first.
Hey, I mean, Luke Whippler, we know that it's a battle going in between Nick Harris and Luke Whippler, but I've said all along I think Luke Whippler is the guy that makes this roster. I know that Nick Harris didn't play as many snaps, and I don't really read into that. I think they wanted to see what Luke Whippler was about as a rookie, playing him that many snaps. I'm encouraged with his performance. He's not only going to be your backup center, who I think can step in when needed this year, just because I think he has that type of ability. He's really sound fundamentally, and he was at Ohio State. He was never the most athletic guy. He was just fundamentally sound. And I do think he is the eventual replacement for Ethan Posick down the line, too. I think he's going to be not the best center in the league, but I think he's going to be good enough, pretty good. So I like him a lot. And, of course, he's a Buckeye, so – yeah, I might be a little bit more biased, but seriously, great performance out of him. The thing that you want to see in the preseason, regardless if you're playing 2nd, 3rd strings, you want to see how your draft class performs. Mm-hmm. And Luke Whippler's another example of that. Played really well on Thursday night.
And I'll say this about the center position. They can 100% get out of Posick's contract after this year. Just putting it out of there. They would have like $2 million in dead cap for the next like 3 years. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought he was solid. We haven't talked about the other Ohio State rookie yet, but he was very good the other night. Nick Harris, for me, I thought was really solid a couple years ago in the game he had to play on Christmas Eve against the Packers. But I was really concerned last year in that preseason game against Jacksonville when he was getting dominated. Like he was getting blown out the ball. Even on that injury that he had, like he just got bullied. And he's a guy that they've talked about like struggles to keep on weight.
Yep. Struggles
with his strength, and it's tough sometimes in this league. Like that can make a difference. And coming off a major injury, I mean, I don't know if he makes this team after this year.
And so that puts it to, I would assume, probably the last of our winners before we talk about some people who stink. And I'm not even going to talk about the stinky players that in depth. I'm just going to yell about them. We can just let us have our moment. DeJuan Jones, man, like, listen, when you are standing next to Michael Dunn, who is 315 pounds, Michael Dunn's like 6. I want to say Michael Dunn's like 6'4", 6'5". He's 6'5", 315 pounds, and he is dwarfed by DeJuan Jones. Like, he looks like a tight end next to him. It's like, why are you this enormous? And then why can you move? Like the dude can pull. You can pull him around. You can run a toss play and get him out there in the field. And it's like, you can go at him with speed. You can go at him with power. And if you're going to like go low on him, he's just going to let you ride yourself into the ground. He has great hands. I just love what he does with his hands. His hand fight, he'll keep you in front of you. He'll engage and disengage as needed. And I just like, when you look at him, he played all 74 snaps. Just remember that. He played all 74 snaps. And part of that is they did have a couple of injuries. I think, was it Thedford? I think it was, Hunter Thedford, or somebody else. got hurt and left that game. So I think part of it was the injuries at tackle, but I think they also wanted to test him. I mean, the conditioning is a thing that people had knocks on him coming out. And then they said, they had a goal for him to meet weight in between the mandatory camp and training camp, and he met it. And he goes out there and he gets 74 snaps and he looks great. And he lets one pressure, 74 snaps. That was 40 pass blocking snaps. He allows one pressure. I'm good with that. That dude is a monster. And you're thinking, hey, Jack Conklin probably misses games again this year. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. DeJuan Jones. So here's when they got to Greenbrier, he goes through one practice and then he's sick. Again, I'm not taking a shot at the young man. It's just, was he sick or was he completely out of shape? That's what we don't know. But anyway, he put that all to bed Thursday night. When you play every single snap, I was curious how much he was going to play. How much would he be able to play?
Yeah.
Well, I found that out, and he was absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's no other way around it. Again, I'll never totally understand. I don't think any of us will totally understand how Pro Football Focus grades. I thought he was a lot better than just the 10th best offensive player. I thought he was phenomenal. I know the run blocking is a little suspect, and that was at Ohio State. I think that's going to improve as a pass blocker. You have to get excited about your future of your offensive line, knowing you have this man to protect Deshaun Watson. Because this guy, there's going to be guys that are a lot quicker, but he's going up against Jeremiah Johnson, former first-round pick for the Jets. He's going up a lot against some defensive line. Jets have a lot of talent on the defensive line, and he's not missing a beat in his first
Huff was out
game.
there.
Huh?
Huff was out there. He's a significant contributor for them.
Yeah, and he's just no problem whatsoever. So I'm really excited what I see with him. I want to continue to see him grow. I want to see him not get reps with the ones, obviously. He might, depending on if Conklin plays in the preseason. I just want to see how he does against faster competition. That's my only worry, and that was my worry at Ohio State, because you can tell he's a huge body, and if he gets his hands on you, you're screwed. But the thing that he, of course, is not great at is that recovery. That's something he's not great at. But I'll tell you what, it's a great start. Bill Callahan has one of the best talents as far as a tackle in the NFL as a rookie, and he's gonna sculpt this man into something special, I feel like. So I know we don't want to overreact to things, but also when you're this big of a human being and you can block somebody that well, and that's your first action that you've seen, you have to be encouraged with that. You have to.
Oh yeah, he's a mountain of a man. He actually reminds me a lot of Larry Allen, that used to play for Dallas. Like, there's that big. He doesn't look super athletic, but you don't realize how big and athletic he is until you actually sit there and watch him play and how he's moving for how big he is. So for me, like, I think his ceiling is Larry Allen. I mean, he just has to, keep making improvements, keep his stamina and his health good, and make sure he's got his wind under him, and he improves his run blocking. Like, this guy can be a Pro Bowl right tackle probably for the next 5 to 10 years.
All right, let's talk about a few losers as we wrap this up.
Do you want to go first, or?
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Jordan Elliott stinks. All right. He stinks, and I'm sick and tired of other people telling me otherwise. Listen, Jim Schwartz has forgot more about football than I know, but I got eyeballs, Jim. I got eyeballs, and I watched him on Thursday just do exactly what he does every other game, which is exist. That's it. That's what he did. He did have like one good play. I will give him that. Like, if I'm trying to remember, I don't remember. Maybe he didn't. But I will say he wasn't as dreadful as some of the times that he was last year. So, like, you weren't as bad, I guess. But he stunk, man. Like, all I see is a dude that if he's not driven off of the ball, he just stands there. And sometimes that's good. Like an anchoring one tech, your nose, you want them to take up space. But that's not what he does. He takes up space and he can't get off of the block if the run comes his way. Like some people are just like, they're in the way and they can still bring you down. He can't do anything. Okay. Like if he does not shoot the gap, he's done. And like, you're pushing him around. He doesn't generate much of a pass rush. He's a smaller guy. He can't even get up and put his arms in there. And I'm tired of it. Just the fact that one of your starting defensive tackles played in the Hall of Fame game tells you what you need to know. That they put out, by all stretch of imagination, we talk about second, third, and fourth stringers. That's who we're talking about because that's what we were given. You are a first stringer according to this coaching staff and what we have seen in training camp, and you were out there playing with dudes that you should dominate, and you just look like another dude, and I'm sick of it.
Hey, man, I'm right there with you. I was shocked when he was getting first-team reps in training camp, but I thought to myself, at the same time, it's not like we have anyone else that like comes to mind that they should get those. But when I saw him playing in the Hall of Fame game, my first thought was our defensive tackle team we started next to Dalvin Tomlinson's not yet on the roster. Is exactly what my first thought was because it's not going to be Ika. No offense to him, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be Togiai. Shout out to him, by the way, for doing something for the first time in his NFL career Thursday night. Sorry, Tommy T. You're a Buckeye. I still love you. But also, outside Maurice Hurst, it doesn't look like it's unfortunate. I like him, but it's unfortunate. Tristan Hill didn't play. Obviously, Tomlinson didn't play. Like, Jordan Elliott's never been good. We keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. It seems like defensive coordinators do. I get it. Jim Schwartz knows more than I ever will about football because I get most of my knowledge from Madden. But the point is, are we that bad at D tackle that we have to be playing Jordan Elliott this season? Because that's when it gets dicey. I think he needs cut personally. I rather see Ika. I rather see Hurst just because I'm sick of. I think Maurice Hurst could give me a good play this year compared to Jordan Elliott for one series, and I just think they need to move on from him. I really do. I don't see a point of keeping him on the roster. Clearly, he's on the bubble, or else he's not playing in this game. And he just never looks – he's never looked good at any point that we've had him here. And again, I get it. Jim Schwartz needs to really see what he has here. But the dude played 12 snaps and graded a 60 and did absolutely nothing. So, yeah, I'm done with Jordan Elliott too. He needs to go. Should have gone a long time ago. But unfortunately, as some Twitter accounts say, and as I'll say, we do not make roster decisions.
Correct. Yeah, I've been done with Jordan Elliott since last year. I'm hoping we bring in Shelby Harris still. I'd rather see Tommy Togiai play personally than Jordan Elliott, but I don't know long term. Like I just don't see Elliott making this team at this point unless he has a miraculous turnaround and becomes a totally different player than what he's shown. I don't see any way he's on this roster this year. It can't be.
It's that contract, man. They like renegotiated it to guarantee it. So it's like they've at least signaled that they want to keep him. That doesn't mean shit. Like, I mean, how much like Jimmy Haslam is paying, he doesn't care about that.
No.
But like they want him to, right? They want him to take it. Is
correct.
The point. It's like they want him to take it, and he just can't, man. He just can't.
Take the bull by the horns, brother.
All right.
All right.
So a loser for me.
Yep.
You took one of mine for sure. There's no doubt in my mind you took one of them. Another loser for me though, I think, and I'm not saying this because I actually defended him on Twitter, and I think that I'm not worried whatsoever. But someone that was a loser on Thursday night was Cade York. This fan base does not believe in this man 100%. And right now, he has no confidence. He has no confidence right now in a game setting. And he's a loser because if this continues, he's losing his job and they're bringing in somebody. Because if he misses kicks against Washington, you're going to see some competition brought in. I think at that point you have to. And I've defended Cade York. I believe kicking in Cleveland is the hardest thing for any kicker. And as a rookie, I thought towards the end of the season he did get better, but he also did miss a lot of kicks. And so I'm going to say he's a loser because I think now he's got to look over his shoulder a little bit. We need him to find his confidence. He's got to – the big thing with Cade York, it's not talent. I think the guy's got one of the best legs in the NFL. And personally, I really like Cade York too. I've interacted with him a couple times, like on Twitter. He's a good dude. And I think he's going to be a good kicker. Whether that's for the Browns, I really don't know. And I'm starting to now have those doubts. Everything about that kick should have been right down the middle. No wind, perfect snap, perfect hold. That should have been right down the middle. When he missed it, obviously I had people texting me freaking out. I wasn't freaking out, but he has to be a loser from the aspect that now he's not locked into that job. Going in, he was. But when you miss a kick like that after the season you had, it creeps doubt in. And now going into Washington, he now has one of the biggest games in his career for the sake of him keeping his job. Washington. He's got to perform well. If he doesn't, they're going to bring somebody in.
Yeah, and for me, I'm the same. I'm not the one panicking. I did appreciate the Donald Trump video that you posted on Twitter, Tyler. That was I thought about putting that in an article on Browns Wire, and I was like, that's probably shouldn't do that. So I didn't, but I thought about it.
It's all good, yeah.
I was like, let's put this sucker in there and see what happens. We're gonna burn this son of a bitch to the ground. Anyway, yeah, man. Like, I'm worried he's got the yips. Like, that's all it is, man. Like, I think he's got the yips, and if he does, he's screwed, man. And this season, there is just so much riding on this year that you can't take a guy into the year that doesn't believe he can do his job. And like you said, that's what he looks like.
And if that is the case, you have to go out right now. And I know he's 40 years old, but I would go out right now
with this
and bring in Robbie Gould, a guy who's kicked in two of the windiest cities ever. Yeah. I'm like, if anybody can kick in Cleveland, it's going to be Robbie Gould. And then second tier, I know a lot of people like in Green Bay at the end, they used to call it like stupid Stephen A. Bayless likes to call him Mason Crossbar. But Mason Crosby had a damn good career kicking in Green Bay. And he's only 38. You know, kickers don't hit that wall until they're like 63. So
Dan Bailey's a free agent. Potentially whatever happens with the Chargers kicking job, Dicker the kicker could be available. I mean, there are opportunities out there. I mean, I hope he figures it out. I really do. But if he misses kicks against Washington, we officially have questions. We really do. So he's a loser for me just for that reason.
I got one more because like Kellen Mond feels like low hanging fruit. Like, dude, you stink.
It's too easy. Yeah, that's too easy.
Anthony Schwartz feels like a low hanging fruit too. It's like, brother, come on.
He's never been good.
Yeah,
he's been a loser since he got here.
And it's like he seems like such a good dude too. You know what I mean? Like
it's unfortunate, but yeah,
it's like you're like, man, I wish you didn't suck. Oh shit. So
he's not a football player. He's just not a football player.
I accidentally he's not. I accidentally ripped my entire toenail off last night. So that sucked too. Oh yeah, no, I was crying.
If I'm Anthony Schwartz now, I'm retiring tomorrow and trying to make the Olympic track team because he's fast.
He tried.
And you're a track guy. Like work on that as your craft. Like
go do that. Go dedicate it. Yeah, go dedicate yourself to that.
Easily could. He really made the Olympic roster. I mean, it's not the dude's got this. I think he can do it. So go make it happen. Go make I've even said this too with Anthony Schwartz because briefly, I think the best thing for him is getting cut and going to the XFL or USFL. Still only 22.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get some confidence there, someone's going to take another look at you because you got speed. There's no doubt he's fast. So
he might excel in the new Arena Football League with the ability to run towards the line of scrimmage, or even in the CFL where you can do that. It might benefit him.
He said his ability to run towards the line of scrimmage. Like, whoa, dude. That's a crazy good ability right there. I was like looking at numbers and I just hear Mikey go, his ability to run towards the line of scrimmage.
He's just fast. It's
interesting.
Like,
the ability to run towards the line of scrimmage.
Work for him.
Hey, I don't have the ability to run towards the line of scrimmage, so it's
I'm not that fast.
I'm not.
I have the ability. I just choose not to do it because if I did, I'd probably pass out.
You know, one final for me. I've got just one more because I feel like a lot of people at least gave you some things.
You were encouraged a little bit with what you saw.
Yeah. I thought that everybody seemed pretty good in terms of like just being like, oh, you know. But, like, I think Thomas, what's his name? Greeny?
Isaiah Thomas?
No, Greeny.
Thomas Greeny.
Yeah. Man, I didn't think he was very good. I don't think he had any really good reps, like, blocking or anything like that. And I just think he kind of struggled in there. And, like, that's a name that nobody cares about. But I just wanted to put out that him and I thought James Hudson, who apparently graded off the charts, even though he gave up, like, too blatant, like
he gave him a sack.
He was the one that gave up the sack,
yeah.
And he whiffed on a couple of other plays. And like this is one of those things, like Tyler talked about it, and we've all talked about it before, where it's like, yeah, PFF is a really good place to start, but sometimes my eyes tell me something else. Like DeJuan Jones played better than James Hudson. But
according to PFF, they didn't.
Right. Only 3 people played better than James Hudson, according to PFF. I like James Hudson. I still think he looked better, but I think James Hudson has it's not the same extent. And I'm not that hard on Jed compared to what other people are. But I think James Hudson has that issue too, not in that he doesn't finish plays, because I think Hudson does, but in the sense that, like, you'll see Hudson play some really good snaps, just like Jed will play some, and then the consistency will just get thrown out of the window. And so while I think Hudson played well, I think the awful plays that pop up 3 or 4 times a game for him are still a problem, and that's why he was like borderline loser for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy they graded so well. I mean, it's kind of funny, actually. Dude grades out at an 83.3. 88.2 pass block grade, 78.3 run grade. Like,
gives up the only sack.
Yeah, and yet, so that's a near elite pass block grade because you gave up I don't know.
It was the team's highest pass block grade of the game.
Makes no sense to me. But at the same time, with Hudson too, like, I think the big thing, and I agree with you, he was a loser on the night because I think there is a battle going on between that swing tackle job. Now, I don't know if DeJuan Jones can play left tackle. I think that remains to be seen. But one thing the Browns like to do is their 6th tackle, they like to have the ability that can play left tackle, right tackle. And I do think right now that is a battle between DeJuan Jones and James Hudson. If DeJuan Jones can prove that he's pretty solid on the right side and they think that they can give him reps at left tackle, I think he's going to be able to take that job from James Hudson. Now, the thing about James Hudson, he has been in the system the last couple of years. And I will say, on Thursday night, it's the best I've seen James Hudson look. So something to keep in mind with Hudson, this is a guy at Cincinnati that was transitioning to playing offensive tackle at the time. He's a guy that was always going to have to be brought on a little slowly. I still don't know if he's a left tackle. I still think he's better designed to play right tackle. But he is a loser because he did give up the only sack. And, you know, he wasn't super impressive, but again, it still is encouraged. The one aspect, even though he is a loser for this, the one aspect that's good is he did play the best I have seen him play so far, which is encouraging. And even though guys like are losers, you want to at least see if they're like progressing in some way. And I did see that a little bit from Hudson, at least.
Yeah. Well, my last loser is going to be a unit. I'm gonna say the special teams. Thursday night were just bad all around. Like, I think our kick return coverage was suspect at times, punt return. I mean, that's going to happen. in a preseason game because you got hodgepodge and mix of players playing that may have not even been on the field so far, so they're kind of getting used to it. That's why you see so many kick return touchdowns. It's and during the preseason, like if you're gonna make some sports betting wagers like this year, like take some of those anytime touchdowns by those kick return guys because they tend to hit. Special teams unit in general though was not great out the gate the other night for sure.
And I think you also didn't see a lot of them. Like Mike Ford's hurt. Wait, no, not Mike Ford. Who's hurt?
No, he is hurt. Well, he was hurt though, I think.
No, who's the linebacker? Mike Ford's the corner.
Matthew
right?
Adams, but
Matthew Adams.
didn't. Mike Ford also wasn't playing.
And you brought those guys in to play specials.
Yeah.
So, hey, you know what we missed during this show?
We missed Jose Ramirez just absolutely knocking Tim Anderson from the White Sox. And I mean, like, actually knocking him out cold.
Oh, I'm watching it right now. Had no idea. Old Anderson literally squares up on him like he thought he was Billy Badass. He's like, I won't fight you. And Jose's like, oh, you go and fight me. And he takes a swing, and then Jose's just like, pop, down.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You know what's unfortunate is now that could be a season. I mean, he just knocked the dude out cold. They might suspend him for the season.
I tell you what, though, nobody deserves to get knocked out more than Tim Anderson. That guy is a douchebag, like with a capital D. And
with that, thanks for joining us for the return of the Browns Film Room. We're going to do these each week. We did the film rooms with the prospects. We'll now be doing film rooms, just talking about the games. Obviously, on our individual shows, that'll happen too. But all 22 didn't release in time for this. But going forward, especially in the regular season, a lot of this will be takeaways from the all 22 and not just the TV broadcast. So for all of us here at Network 216, I wanted to say thank you guys. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up. We love you guys. We'll talk to you again next time. As always, go Browns.
Go Browns, baby.